Hey everyone, I'm Jay, also known as jaynemesis. I am a popular investor on eToro, where I manage around $20 million of assets under management. And I have a background in cryptocurrencies. I've invested in cryptocurrencies for the first time in 2012, and now I'm going to do my first ICO review of 2018. So what are we looking at? We're looking at BestMeta. So if you want to find out more information, there is a link to the white paper and to their website in the description. Let's dive in. Okay, so first question, what is BestMeta? BestMeta, in their own words, is tokenization of gaming personalities and brands. This is skewed heavily towards esports, as the name implies, and the project's got some pretty well-known backing from the esports community, which is, I guess, why it's so skewed towards esports. Effectively, the goal of this project seems to be to help streamers and different YouTubers and different talents within gaming self-fund themselves a lot better and monetize their audiences a lot better, and also allow for the audience to have better participation in the streams and the personalities they are watching. So let's take a look at the team. Who's running this project? The major personality that's behind this is a guy called Toby1. He's very well known. He comes from the Dota community, and he's been in esports for a long time as a commentator and caster. And he still streams to this day a bunch of stuff. So he appears to be the driving force behind this. I believe it was his brainchild. He's very well known. His background is pretty strong. I think, in terms of understanding of esports, he should have some very good knowledge in that industry. When it comes to the more technical side and the more gaming side of things, we have Michel Pez. He's previously worked on some pretty big stuff, including Tentacle Studios and Slightly Mad Studios. His biggest claim to fame would be that he worked on Project Cars, and I think he actually managed the entire project for that. So again, he's a big name, and he's been around the industry for a pretty long time. So far things are looking pretty good for the team, right? Well, the team only consists of 14 members, and only 4 of those members are actually developers. And for a project that's designed to be so complex that it allows people to create their own cryptocurrencies, I would perhaps expect a few more than that. They have 7 advisors from the fintech industry. Nothing super exciting here. A couple of them got backgrounds in kind of gaming stuff as well. But overall, I'm slightly disappointed by the team. If I talk about the developers slightly for a little bit, I did a bit of digging, and the guy that has the most blockchain experience has only worked on one other ICO. He's never worked on any major cryptocurrency projects. He's never committed anything for Bitcoin or Dash or any of the major cryptocurrencies. And the one project that he did work on was another gaming-related ICO, and it only managed to raise $1 million in its ICO, which, as far as ICOs go, is quite poor. That ICO only took place about a month ago as well. Their white paper does list out all of their team members, and I think all of them have a link to their LinkedIn profile, so you can go and check them out. But realistically, most of the team is a little bit underwhelming. They have a few big hitters, and then everyone else is just sort of people with average backgrounds in front-end development or blockchain or, marketing, things like that. There's nothing really that stands out and says that this is a team that can necessarily deliver what they are promising in this white paper. So let's talk about the actual ICO. The ICO takes place from the 1st of April, which is a few days ago now, up until the 23rd of April, and there are a total of 100 million tokens in this ecosystem, 40 million of which will actually go on public sale via the ICO. 45 million tokens will be split between the teams, advisors, and the founders and the company, effectively. You can read their definitions, but that's basically where it's going to. And 15 million tokens will be dedicated to talent acquisition. So I assume basically bribing people to use their platform. So what's the basics of how it works? Effectively, BestMeta is split into 2 tokens. You have the talent token, and you have the BestMeta token. The BestMeta token is effectively like the reserve currency for the entire ecosystem that's used for purchasing different talent tokens for different personalities. So there is a dedicated exchange which is run by BestMeta, where you can use your BestMeta tokens to buy different talent tokens and then exchange back and forth between them. The talent tokens are created by different personalities. So anyone who is a Twitch streamer of substantial size, I assume they will have some sort of vetting process in place to make sure that it's not, 5 million tokens, can go on there and create their own token. These tokens will be on their own dedicated blockchain, apparently, and you can choose how many to create and who to give them to as you wish, as far as I am aware. The BMT token is actually a full ERC20 token, which is good news and bad news. It's good news in that it should be much easier to get different wallets to support the token and different exchanges as well. The bad news is that it's not on its own blockchain, and for something like this, you kind of would think that it would be, especially since they're doing it for the player tokens. It doesn't really make that much sense to me on why the BMT token would be so simple. Okay, so now that we've got the basics out of the way, let's take a look at the white paper, starting with effectively what are their proposed token usages that I could find throughout their white paper. So some of these are actually direct quotes from the white paper, and some of them are me summarizing what they've said in some sections. So first of all, you can use the tokens for exclusive gaming star merchandise. Wow, a shop. Exclusive digital merchandise, a digital shop. Exclusive content. I guess that means like hidden videos and stuff. Exclusive gaming sessions, so you get to play with the people you watch or interact with them in some way. I guess you could kind of expand that a bit. Exclusive Q&As, so ask me anything, stuff like that. Actually, directly being able to ask you a question to the streamer, which I guess actually is kind of cool. Cross promotion between content creators. I assume this means that maybe if two different people were, getting loads of donations from people all asking for them to do something together, then they could collaborate and make something together. Peer-to-peer interaction between members. Pretty sure that just means sending the tokens to and from each other. Crowdfunding tournaments and events. And token exchange and trading. So I guess speculating on the value of different tokens and stuff like that. So looking at all of these things, I really can't see anything listed here that you can't already do with bits on Twitch or with whatever they have on other different streaming websites, or US dollars using Streamlabs and all of these kind of different services. There's really nothing stopping people from setting up merchandise shops and setting up paywalls to different types of content and setting like different funding targets to unlock new events and stuff like that. The only thing really that's unique about this is that you get to trade the value of these tokens. It's really not a very big selling point to me. I don't see anything unique. In fact, I genuinely really do feel like they have worked very hard to turn very few things into as many as they possibly could. I haven't written it down in this list because it would take up extra space, but they actually broke down the different types of merchandise, which really does suggest to me that they struggled to actually find a use for their tokens. Like this is the point of creating a cryptocurrency, right? Is for the token to be used in some way. And everything that I have seen written down here suggests that you could replace this with pretty much any other currency in the world and it would still work, which is a sign of a very bad cryptocurrency. Regardless, let's take a look at who they say this product is for. So they suggest that it is for professional gaming stars and also for aspiring gaming stars. Professional gaming stars, they cite the problems as being that they are unable to fully capitalize their popularity. There's no way to evaluate the value of, for example, an esports team as a market asset, and that they are limited by the contracts from their sponsors in what they are able to do. For the aspiring gaming stars, apparently there's a lack of funding. Large companies aren't interested in working with them because they're new and small, and crowdfunding and donation services are too biased towards celebrities who get all the prizes. So tackling a few of these points, I mean, none of those things are really going to change with this token. Like, sponsors aren't going to stop using contracts. They're still going to use contracts, and they're still going to specify you have to say our name X number of times, and you have to wear this logo, and you're not allowed to do X, Y, and Z. Likewise for things like all of the funds going to the major stars, and their bigger fan base is supporting them more. There's no way really for you to change that, right? If someone is good, then they're going to get famous, and if they get famous, then they're going to have more fans, and if they have more fans, there's more people to give them money, right? That also applies for sponsorship. Nobody's going to sponsor something that has low viewership because they're not going to get a return on investment. And although they've said these things, they haven't proposed solutions to it. So before we go into the questions that I have about this project and what I suspect the answers to those questions are, there are two more things that I really want to pull out of this white paper that I think are quite important and really tell us something about the team and what they're doing and how much they really know about this industry. The first is to do with growth. From the 18th page of their white paper, they say, and I quote, "Good performance leads to the increased fan base, which created more value for potential sponsors and advertisers. These companies will create enough demand for personalized tokens of gaming stars with the best performance, which greatly contributes to liquidity. There is an important aspect of BestMeta that supports this driver of liquidity. After esports gaming stars issue their tokens, all sponsorship and advertising deals will be performed with these tokens. Since successful gaming stars have a lot of commercial activity with large companies, this will support the liquidity of personalized tokens." So let me just really reiterate the key part of what I just read there, which is after esports gaming stars issue their tokens, all sponsorship and advertising deals will be performed with these tokens. Let's stop and think about this for a second. In fact, let's take a look at some other big cryptocurrencies that have been around for a long time. Is anyone really at a large scale using Bitcoin, Dash, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, any of these cryptocurrencies to pay for services on a regular basis? Now, you've got to think about who sponsors are, right? You've got companies like, I don't know, Coca-Cola, Doritos, maybe you've got Logitech or Corsair or different PC brands. They are suggesting that these companies will go out there and buy their tokens to then sponsor a player, because a player will demand that they pay them in these tokens. This makes no sense whatsoever, for multiple reasons. First of all, you've got to think about all of the fees involved in that. Buying Bitcoin or Ethereum, then converting it to BMT, then converting that into the player tokens to pay the player, who then does the reverse to get the money, right? So that he can spend it on something. This is never going to work. This is never going to happen. A major company is not going to do this. They're all pretty much scared of interacting with cryptocurrencies as it is, let alone interacting through like all of these different exchanges and stuff along the way, just to pay someone some money. No, it's not going to happen. What's probably going to happen is that the sponsor is going to turn around and say, "Oh, you want to be paid in this currency? Never mind, we'll find someone else," and move on to the next person. It's absolutely ludicrous that they genuinely think that they are going to provide liquidity and growth to the currencies and to the value of these tokens from sponsorship and advertiser money rolling in this way. It's not going to happen. Twitch.tv, for example, is not going to pay you for advertising in your custom token. Never going to happen. So the next part that I really want to pull out of their white paper and kind of present to you guys is from their legal pages. So page 53 and 54 is where you're going to find these quotes. They say, BMT personalized token credit and personalized tokens do not grant participation in the BestMeta company or its assets. They also say, and the start of these sentences are always the same, so I'm not going to repeat them all. that it does not represent a loan to the BestMeta company. It doesn't represent securities in any jurisdiction. It doesn't represent a currency in any jurisdiction. It doesn't represent a financial or investment instrument in any jurisdiction. Tokens are non-refundable as well. So they go through a bunch of these. There may be a couple more. I might have missed a few. I kind of just read those quickly. But effectively what they're saying here is that it's not this, and it's not this, and it's not this, and it's not this, and it's not this, right? They're just saying it's not anything. Now, just because you say something isn't something doesn't mean that legally it's not that thing. If I tell you that a piece of gold is not a piece of gold, I'm pretty sure that legally it's still a piece of gold, okay? This is really concerning to me, that their approach to the legal situation with the SEC and some of the other jurisdictions that are perhaps a bit stricter on ICOs and cryptocurrencies is to just say, but it's not debt, it's not a commodity, it's not a currency, it's not any sort of an asset, it's not a derivative. That's it is those things. It's a combination of those things. And they have literally said in here that they expect the value of the tokens to grow. That, by definition, is a security. So yeah, I think, legally speaking, I don't know who their legal guy is, but I wouldn't trust him at all. In fact, I think I read somewhere in his little bio on the white paper that their legal guy is very experienced in ICOs and blockchain. And you've really got to wonder how experienced he really is, or if he's just sort of making it up and hoping that no one notices his ICOs, because that just does not fill me with any confidence whatsoever. About the only legal thing they're really being sensible on is that they are carrying out know your customer checks on both people creating tokens and people buying tokens, which is a sensible thing to do. So let's move on to some of the big questions that I have surrounding this project. The first is, does this need to be its own project? Is there really any need for this cryptocurrency? If we take a step back out of this ecosystem that they've built and we kind of examine it, do we need there to be a BMT token to power this infrastructure? And the answer is categorically no. Very, very easily, for about half an hour of a good developer's time, any Twitch streamer or famous personality could create their own token. In fact, anyone who's not any of those people could create their own token on the Ethereum blockchain. An ERC20 token standard is super, super simple, very easy for developers to get their heads around and create. And literally, you can create these in minutes. In fact, if you wanted to, you could create something more complex like an ERC721 token, which has got unique characteristics that allow each token to be slightly different from other tokens in that ecosystem. So you could actually build something more powerful by not using BMT. I don't see what the appeal is here. Not only that, but of course, if it's an ERC20 token, your token could potentially be exchangeable on loads of different exchanges, instead of just through BMTs, which is effectively the only place you can really buy these. Not, by the way, that that's enforceable, because of course they said earlier that you can trade them peer-to-peer between each other. If they're on their own blockchains and they have their own wallets, which they say they will, then there's nothing stopping anyone else from creating their own exchange anyway. So there are so many flaws in this that I don't even know where to start. Next question I have is it decentralized? And again, the answer is categorically no, because everything is running through this centralized website. If you want to buy a token from me, then you have to go onto BMT's exchange. Once you've got your BMT tokens, which you can buy from other exchanges, in theory, you still have to go onto their website to buy my token. That is not decentralized. The people in charge of that website can very easily censor people they don't like, or potentially be shut down by a government that doesn't like their project, and then all of the value that these other people have invested in this could be gone. Could literally just be shut down and gone, because you won't be able to exchange them. Although, as I said earlier, you probably will, because they haven't apparently thought of that little loophole. Okay, the next question. Is it secure? Is their security good? Well, Unfortunately, the answer again is no. They do actually address this in their white paper, and they specifically say that they'll be using HTTPS and OAuth for the website. OAuth 2, I should say. And they also suggest that they'll be keeping all passwords and data on their users both encrypted and backed up, which is a kind of it's a good thing, right? Unfortunately, due to the fact that it is centralized, it is not that secure, just by definition. If these tokens go up in value by a substantial amount, then their exchange will become a target, in the same way that most major cryptocurrency exchanges have become a target. And looking at their team, I do not think they have the expertise to secure this data safely at all. Not only that, but we have to think about security not only in terms of people stealing data, but people just denying you access to data. If we have one website that's centralized, then it can be DDoSed. And again, I don't trust this team to build a website that is DDoS proof. There's a lot of problems there. I mean, another major point with this is, of course, cold storage. There is not one mention in their white paper of cold storage. This is something that is best practice for every exchange in the entire cryptocurrency industry right now. Even exchanges that don't give you tokens directly, such as eToro, where I trade, still use cold storage to store well over 90% of all of the cryptocurrency they handle. This means taking that cryptocurrency and putting it in a paper wallet or a hardware wallet, multiple wallets in fact, and storing it in physical, safe locations, so that if the exchange goes down, or if someone gets into their office, or if there's some crazy guy on their team, they cannot just steal everything. There's no mention of multi-sig, there's no mention of any of these precautions, which are really, really well known and basically industry standard at this point. And again, this is concerning because this is an exchange at the end of the day. And you've really got to wonder if they really have thought this through very well at all, because how can I lost words, how can you trust someone that hasn't even thought about the most basic security standards that are used in this industry? Okay, on to the next question. Who holds the tokens? 40% of the tokens are being sold to the public, right? 20% of the tokens are being held by BestMeta as a company for reserves. I guess that's effectively their budget, right? That's what they use to fund everything. Except it's not, because that's not how an ICO works. When people are buying the tokens in the sale, they are still getting Ethereum or Bitcoin for those tokens. So they have plenty of money to run the company. So why do they need so many tokens? I can understand having some, definitely, but 20%? It's quite a lot. 15% of the tokens are being given to current investors. So this is basically their pre-ICO. These are the people that have supported the project so far and helped fund it. 15% is actually pretty reasonable here, I think, to be fair to them. 15% are being held by BestMeta to be used as an incentive for talent to sign up. So this is the 15% that I mentioned at the start of the video. Again, I can't fault them too much for this. It's quite a lot to use just for that. I would probably, if it was my token, I'd maybe use 5% or something, but 15% is quite a lot. These numbers are really starting to add up. And 10% will be given to the current advisors and core team. So this is like a reward to the people who've been working on it. But again, 10% is, a lot. I know these guys have put a lot into this project, but, that's a substantial amount for a team of 14 people, That's almost 1% each. If one of those people decided to sell all of their tokens at the same time, that could really cause some substantial moves in the market. And of course, their white paper has nothing stating that they can't do that they can't just sell these tokens. So again, pretty worrying signs. In total, this means that BestMeta and people associated with BestMeta will control 60% of the total supply. So I just said that 1% can move the market, and trust me, I'm a trader. I know what can move markets. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I've moved markets before. And 1% can move a market. 60%, that can absolutely destroy a market, you know? There is every chance that they could just be slowly selling these tokens on the side and watching the price slowly decrease over a period of months or maybe years while they cash in on you. They've already taken your money for the ICO. They don't really have anything out at the moment. And honestly, what do they have to lose? Because legally, they've just said that it's not a promise of anything to you guys. So the next question is something that's a little bit closer to home for me. I used to run one of esports' biggest tournament platforms. It was used by DreamHack and North American Star League and CSL, all sorts of stuff. So I know what it takes to build a tournament platform. And throughout their white paper, they've dropped in little bits here and there suggesting that they will build one as part of this project. And if we look at even just the monetary side of it, the financial side of it, they do not have the funds to do this, let alone the expertise or the need. So there's a lot of things missing here. Let's talk about the funding, right? So their ICO target is $22 million. There are esports platforms out there right now, such as Battlefy or Tournament, which run on budgets similar to this already. They have valuations that high already for a normal traditional company. And they have products out already that work and are used by millions of people. They're generally pretty successful. In terms of people using it and the real need for it, again, there's no point. Why would you build your own tournament platform at this point? As part of this system, like you could very easily just partner with other platforms. You've got 60% of the tokens. Why don't you use some of them to incentivize platforms to work with you? Or just use their APIs. Almost every tournament platform has open APIs to allow you to manipulate things like prize funds and stuff externally. There's really no reason I can see for why they would create this. Oh, and I forgot to say, there's no plan either. They haven't said what they're going to build, how they're going to build it, or when they're going to build it. So again, tournament platform. Why? Okay, we're getting near the end of my questions now. We've got a couple more to go. These ones are good ones as well. Has there been any proof of concept? No. There is no indication that they have created any sort of a testnet for the individual player tokens. They have not listed any other projects as inspiration for how they've come up with the design. There's really no noteworthy previous blockchain developers involved in this project. As I mentioned, one of the guys from before has only worked on, from what I can see, one other ICO, and it wasn't terribly successful. And again, that's just an ICO. That's not building a blockchain. There's a big difference between launching an ERC20 token, which, as I said earlier, you can do in half an hour with a good developer, and creating a dedicated blockchain. There's so many questions around this, like who's going to be running the nodes? There's no mention of nodes, there's no mention of mining, proof of stake, proof of work. Like none of this is covered in their white paper when they casually suggest that they're going to create a unique blockchain for every single player token. Really, really, very, very strange. Don't trust it at all. The final question. We've finally reached the final question of this little list that basically just enables me to rant about how bad, as you probably guessed, I think this ICO is. So, last question. Do they explain their proposed solutions to the core problems? Absolutely not. At no point in this white paper did they actually say anything of substantial value. Not ever. So, for example, this is one of the quotes from their white paper. Empower the crowd to support gaming stars at any stage of their career. That basically just translates to, we let people donate. We let people donate. People can donate, right? There are so many services that are used right now across the internet. For example, Patreon, that literally do this right now. There is no reason that sentence right there would mean anything else. And they haven't tried to narrow it down and specify. And the reason they haven't tried to narrow it down and specify is because they know that they don't have a USP. Another quote from their white paper, create a transparent system with both non-monetary incentives in brackets, privileged access to gaming stars, and monetary incentives, in brackets, bounty programs during tournaments, for esports fans to purchase personalized tokens that gaming stars issue using the BestMeta platform. Again, this is a total non-answer. Like, they have not addressed the questions at hand. Effectively, it's saying that you can set donation rewards, right? Like, it's like saying, oh, if you donate $20, you get to play some games with me. You can do that already. That's already a thing. They are not being specific on purpose, and the reason they're not being specific is because they don't actually have answers to the core question of what is this product for. They suggest you can use it for merchandise. Cool, you can use any currency for merchandise. They suggest you can use it for tournaments and for crowdfunding. Again, there's plenty of crowdfunding platforms out there right now. They suggest you can use it for donations, and it's more transparent. There's services that do all of these things. You could replace this cryptocurrency with any other cryptocurrency and still have the same product. So really, why are they asking for $22 million after they've already received, I suspect, a decent amount of funding, maybe $1 million or so? You have to ask these questions, and there's no answers. There's no answers. So let's go on to the summary. What are my final thoughts on this project? Well, number one, it's probably not legal. It doesn't sound like they're trying to comply with the SEC or any other jurisdiction on how they treat cryptocurrencies and cryptocurrency investing. There really seems to be no long-term value to this product. Like, why would anyone use this? What's unique about this? Why can someone else not replicate this service? And why would the tokens go up in value? Because I'm telling you now, the sponsors and advertisers are not going to use it. And it seems like effectively the short-term value is basically provided by investors who honestly have clearly not done enough due diligence and invested in this. I see no other reason anyone would use this, even as a Twitch streamer myself. I don't see why I would do it. You know, I can use 10, 15 other services that allow me to accept donations in different ways and reward my users. There's no reason for this to exist, especially not as a cryptocurrency. So, all in all, I guess my rating, if I were to give it one, would be maybe 1 or 2 out of 10. It's just a terrible product. And I should also point out that they changed their white paper very shortly before their ICO. And before that, their legal section literally had copy and pasted text between all of the different sections. It said the exact same thing in their white paper like 6 times. They had other points in there before that were even worse than what they've got now. So if this is what they can produce after they polish their white paper a few days or maybe a week or so before their ICO, and I'm still poking this many holes in it, it seems to me like it's a really pretty bad project, and I don't see any value in this. I feel sorry for all of the guys that were involved in those videos that they've produced on their YouTube channel, and honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed in Toby One because, you know, I respect him as a good caster, and I've watched him many times in lots of different tournaments for Dota, and this idea is just a bad idea. It doesn't work. It doesn't solve any problems. I don't think anyone should invest in it. I've been investing in cryptocurrencies and ICOs for over 5 years now, and there is no chance they're getting any money from me. And I hope that if you are watching this and you are considering investing this, you will seriously reconsider and think about some of the things I said, and take a look at the white paper yourself and do your own research. It's a key thing to do in cryptocurrencies, not to just take anyone's word for it, not even mine. Go and find out for yourself and ask those questions. Could this be replaced by another currency? Are there any other companies that they're working with now? Are the statistics that they are giving accurate? And can the team even build what they're saying they're going to build? The answer to all of those questions in this review has been pretty poor. So again, thanks for watching, guys. I will be creating more ICO reviews in the future, hopefully. This is the first one I've done in a pretty long time. So yeah, if you like it and if you want to warn other people off it, please go ahead, share it. Ask me questions if you think I'm wrong. I'm always up for debating some of the points that I've made. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone.